Welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Today I want to take a few minutes and talk about two communication skills, behavior description and perception check. To begin with, I'd like you to watch a demonstration. When the demonstration is finished, I'd like you to describe on a piece of paper what happened.
Hi, how are you today? Good. Write down what happened.
This list contains some of the items that were listed in previous workshops. It was a friendly greeting. Tom walked over to Jack. Tom touched Jack on the shoulder. Tom said, "Hi, how are you?" in a nice voice. Tom was condescending. Before we examine the list, let's take a look at what behavior description is. It has two conditions. It is an observable action. What did they say or what did they do? And it's non-evaluative, so there's no judgments or inferences. Let's look at an example of someone robbing a convenience store. There were two witnesses. The first was a citizen on the street and the second was a policeman. The citizen said, "I saw the robber running down the street carrying a brown paper bag with the money in it, and I saw him put a gun in his pocket. I could tell because of the bulge in his pocket." As you can tell, there are several inferences or judgments that he made. A policeman who had been schooled in behavior description might say, "I saw a white male running from the convenience store, about 5'10", weighing about 185 pounds. He was wearing a brown flight jacket, he was carrying a brown paper bag in one hand, and he had a bulge in his pocket." Now let's go back and look at the list and see which items were behaviors or which items were interpretations or judgments or inferences. It was a friendly greeting. I would say that's an inference or an interpretation. Tom walked over to Jack. That would be a behavior description. That was a specific observation. Tom touched Jack on the shoulder. I would say that's both a judgment and a description. The word touched is an interpretive word. It's an inference or a judgment. Did you have a different word? You might have used the word placed, put, patted. Each of those words have a different interpretation. The words placed and touched or patted are two or three different kinds of interpretations. Tom said, "Hi, how are you?" in a nice voice. It would also be both. Tom said, "Hi, how are you?" would be the behavior. In a nice voice would be the judgment. Tom was condescending. Of course, the word condescending would be a judgment or an inference. So is it wrong to make judgments or inferences? No, it's not. We make them all the time. We make a judgment whether to cross the street or not. We look both ways and determine it is safe, and so then we cross the street. The problem becomes if our judgment is treated as if it were a fact about the other person, when in fact it's our inference or our perception. The skill for this is called perception check, where we check out our perceptions by just quickly asking a question. Once we ask the question, we'll find out if our perception or our judgment is accurate or not. You see, our judgments say more about us than they do the other person. For example, if I were to use the judgment or interpretation that they're selfish, that word selfish says more about me and my experience with that word than it does about the person themselves. I could probably go back in my past and trace where that word came from. It might have been used very young. I might have taken something from a brother and I might have been called selfish. So our words and our interpretation say more about us than they do the person that we are actually judging or making the inference about. Let's look at how we might use these skills. Let's take behavior description first. Do you remember the example in the interpersonal gap when the husband came home and he said, "Hi honey, what's for dinner?" and there was some kind of an impact on the spouse? The spouse could have used behavior description and said something like, "Do you remember when you came home and said, 'Hi honey, what's for dinner?'" That would be the behavior description. Then she could have said, "I was kind of frustrated at the time, and when you said that, I was wondering if you really cared about me that day." So she gave a behavior description and then the impact on her and then what she wanted. The husband could have also used behavior description when he came home, and he could have looked around the room before he said anything. He could have observed a difficult day that she was having. She was trying to vacuum and clean up the room, and he didn't smell any dinner. He could have said something like, "Gee, honey, it looks like you had a difficult day." Now she could have responded back and said, "Yeah, I have." Or she could have also responded back and said, "Well, no, not really. I got home late from the doctor and I haven't had a chance to get things going. But you could start dinner for me." That would be the use of behavior description, and then checking out a perception that he might have had. Some time ago, I was working with a plant manager that had a difficult time with the department head, so he asked me to sit in on the conversation. As he began, he said, as he talked to the department head, "You're a poor communicator and you're irresponsible." The department head kind of sat there and kind of smiled and listened. Then the plant manager continued on to something else. I stopped the meeting and I said, "Wait a minute." I talked to the department head and I said, "Do you understand what he means by poor communicator?" He said, "Yeah, I think I do. I think I talk too much and I don't listen enough, so I decided just to be quiet and listen." The plant manager said, "No, that's not it at all. The problem with your communication, you listen fine. The problem is that when you write your monthly report, you only give me like a paragraph. I need more detailed information about safety performance, quality, and the performance of the department." Then I asked the department head, I said, "Do you understand what he means by irresponsible?" He said, "Boy, I don't know what he means by that. I think I'm very responsible." The plant manager said, "Well, it's when you come in late for meetings. You're always coming in about 10 minutes late. I get done making my announcements and I have to make them all over again because you came in late." The department head said, "The reason I come in late is because I remember you said that when the production manager came in late, he had lots of things to do and some very important things out in the plant. I thought if I came in late, you would think I'd have important things to do too." Okay, so what does a disappearing coin have to do with behavior description and perception check? Let's watch. I'm going to take a napkin, pull it across a quarter to make it disappear. Now watch what happens. Oh, it didn't work that time. Let me try one more time. When I'm finished, I want you to describe the behavior you saw. See if you can pick it out. Nope. Try one more time. Here we go. It's gone. You can't see it. So can you describe the behavior of what happened? Take a minute, stop the tape, and describe the behavior. So now let's do a behavior description of the disappearing coin. Tom has the coin in his left hand between his thumb and first finger. He has a napkin, kind of the corner of a napkin, in his right hand that he's going to draw across the top of the coin. He'll put the napkin on top of the coin and draw it across to his left breast. And you'll find that the coin is still there. He's going to do it again and draw the napkin across the coin to his left breast, and again the coin is still there. He does it one more time and he brings it across to his left breast and the coin is now gone. And you can't see it with his hands or with the napkin. So, is there anything that was missing in this? Let me grab another coin and take a look at one last piece. What was missing was that he put his handkerchief to his left breast a ½ inch above his left breast pocket. So you can probably figure out where the coin's going in a few minutes. So what does this have to do with perception check? When I bring the coin across the top and place it against my left breast and the coin is still there, your mind is still focused on the coin and not paying attention to where my right hand went. When I do it a second time, you're again even paying more attention to the coin because now I've set the hook. Just like interpretations and judgments, I've now been preconditioned to believe that nothing's going to happen on my right hand. Just like a judgment, we have preconditions that we believe are going to happen because of our experience in history, and when we observe something, then our history pops up of something that was similar in the past, and we make an interpretation based on that history. In this case, I've dropped the coin across the back, and you still see it, and it goes against my breast, and then the second time, so we go across the second time, I pick it up and drop it into my pocket. Okay, so now you can't see it here, You can't see it there. And you can't see it in this hand, you can't see it in this hand. And it's not up this sleeve because it is sitting in my pocket, right? Or I turn the quarter into a dollar bill. So until next time, have a nice day.